Hello and welcome to round 3 of our Destiny League here at General Games. I'm Marcus, and in the booth I have Zach.
How are you, man?
Not too bad. So we have Chris Annable playing against Brett Vesty, but actually the looks like our overlays screwed up a little bit there. So he's not right player. He's actually Brett. We'll get that fixed at some point. So we've got EHan playing, ERey playing against Elite Palpatine.
That's right. Han and Rey being a really popular, probably the only true mid-range deck in Destiny. It's got a really survivable character and a character that does all the tricks.
Yep.
EPalp being a really interesting new aggro deck, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we first saw the option of having a single character list, I personally looked at it and thought of it playing more like a control list.
It seemed terrible.
It didn't seem great. I felt like it was going to be a very controlling list. You really wanted to protect your dice and play slow, and get that incremental value of just simply resolving.
That's right. It's hard to get incremental value when you've only got 15 health in your whole list, though.
Yeah,
that's what people have started to...
I think so. Now I think people have realised that probably the best way to play it is as an aggro list, and play fast. But that said, I don't know if it's faster than other decks. I mean, it did well at a previous store champs.
Yeah, it's been making waves in the US. It's won a couple of store champs in the last week. One in Vegas. I missed the second one. It's been quite popular here as well as a result of that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It does have a really good arsenal of cards. It's got obviously blues, villains, holocron, and upgrades. Yep. It has access to a lot of mitigation in cards like isolation if you're your anger.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, like the villain dice control package is huge.
Yeah. It's sort of just like a Vader deck that's all in on the Vader.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but like you got so. Anyway, we're into the match. We'll talk about it a bit more as we go through. So it looks like typical turn 1 play there from Chris with Rey there. The Jedi robes on Rey, gets the shields. And
Brett rolling in what looks like 2 double discards on the Palp.
Yeah, that's 4 cards.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really strong start. I mean, Chris looking at losing his entire hand and taking 2 damage. I mean, the losing cards in this deck is just so rough. I mean, Chris immediately realizing he has no way to deal with those dice, so he immediately just plays what he can from his hand, gets it into play.
Do note that Brett still spent the 4 discard, even though Chris only had 2 cards left in his hand. Yeah. And that's because with Palp, you're so vulnerable to removal. Yeah, of course. As soon as you can resolve your dice and just get that minimum 2 damage out of it, I think you do.
Well, that's the thing. I think you just need to be very not greedy with your die results. I mean, the dice are so impactful. Like every side you roll is potentially, it is 2 damage plus whatever you make from it. So I think that you need to be sort of just happy to take what you get, within reason, of course.
For sure.
Well, I mean, look, this is not a good spot. Like Chris here with no cards in hand, but I mean, he still managed to get 2 things in play. He did manage to win his battlefield, which is not not nothing. I mean, obviously, Palp very rarely going to win the die roll.
He either wins it by 6 or
he
loses it completely.
Yeah, exactly. So very rarely going to win the die roll. There is a potentially very scary card coming out on Palp. Not sure if I like the 4 speed. Obviously, a very strong card. Not sure I like it in this match. In this deck though, I feel that what are your 2 actions going to be?
Resolve your first Palp die. Resolve the second one if they're different symbols.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I mean, sure. But you're assuming that they don't get touched.
Yes.
I mean, so you're so vulnerable.
If they remove your 4 speed die, you're happier about that.
So Brett just plays the 4 speed, claims the battlefield, and Chris happy to oblige.
Yeah. Also, do note that Brett played the 4 speed after he'd rolled in, activated his character, which is what you see a lot with the Palp decks.
Yes, you just want to get the dice in the pool early.
If you get greedy and try and stack up upgrades to get more value out of it, your opponent's going to stabilize. Like if they're villain, they'll get out dice for he doesn't like you.
Yeah, of course.
They'll get out ways to interact with you.
So looking at what we've got here, I mean, Chris is looking at strong cards here. He's got second chance. He's got an electroshock in hand. He's got another ascension gun. Not sure. Not sure what the other 2 cards are. Brett, on the other hand, looking at looks like a holocron Use the Force, and 3 cards I don't recognise. I think that might be a Force throw in his hand there. Yeah, like it's just going to be, it's going to come down to dice removal and consistently. So Brett rolls in, shows what is it? That's the 2 damage.
I think it's.
Is it the 2?
It's either 2 or 3.
It's either 2 or 3.
And there's Chris. Yeah, it definitely is a 2. It has been electroshocked.
Yeah, so that was a 2. So getting electroshocked. See, and this is why I think that Force speed not so great in this matchup, because now he's left with a Force speed, and so he resolves the Force speed and has 1 die in play.
Well, he can use the Force to change that die to a 1.
Yeah, of course. Use the Force. I mean, it allows you to do that, but is that worth an entire upgrade slot and a die?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I mean, look, I personally haven't played the deck. I've played against it once, and I won quite convincingly.
Yeah.
With Vader Raider, my pet, but
the signature Marcus deck.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna play that deck until I can't play that deck anymore. I enjoy it too much.
Yeah, it's a great deck, lots of fun.
And how reps is a thing, man. I've been playing that deck since Destiny was a thing. I've done consistently well with it, and more than happy to keep playing it. I enjoy it.
We'll see how the Force speed works for Brett over the course of this game.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. It definitely will be interesting to see. Obviously, this being a league match, it is a best of 3. So we will get to see at least 2 rounds, at least 2 matches or games in the match.
Also, look at this. Brett has done 10 damage to Chris, and he has lost 1 shield.
Yeah, the damage is huge. The damage is definitely undoubtable. I mean, the double discard for 2 damage, then the deflect there. Yeah,
each of your dice does so much.
It's not nothing. The damage is consistent.
Yeah.
The damage is definitely consistent.
And like even here, he's had one of his die electroshocked.
Yeah.
Even still resolving one of the die in a turn, casting a deflect.
Yeah, so the strength I feel about this deck is if you can make the game go long enough, your opponent's eventually going to run out of answers. I mean, it's how I've always felt about Vader Raider.
As the game goes on, your dice get better.
The longer the game goes, Vader's gets better, and they remove his dice for the first 2-3 rounds, but then what? Then you're rolling in 5 dice, and they're out.
And speaking of long game, Palp has access to Rise again, has Force Illusions, Brett's just played.
Yep.
Even though he has 15 health, it's deceptively tanky.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, 15 health is huge. Yep. Plus the shield. So he started this game with 17 health, effectively. He now has a Force Illusion, which can potentially reduce which will enable him to reduce it up to at a minimum 2 damage.
Yeah.
Against this list, I don't think he's ever using it on like 1 damage or anything like that. It potentially can hit 3 from Han.
Yeah.
Plus, as you say, the Rise Again. Rise Again definitely something you've got to play into, though. You've got to build up to.
Yeah. And your opponent knows when it's coming. When you're sitting there on 4 resources,
100%. You make
smiling.
You're making it very obvious that you're playing towards the Rise Again. On the other hand, though, Chris demonstrating the power of this deck, he's happy just to play out. He's got his Battlefield as well, which makes playing out the second chance there a perfectly fine play.
Yeah, second chance is great. It gives Chris a lot more time. And with time with this deck, you can do a lot more tricks, like stuff with Vibrant Knife and Hold Out Blaster and getting in damage.
Yep.
And you can do this every turn as long as second chance and Graveyard alive.
Yep. So it looks like Brett claimed there and put Force Throw on top of his deck.
I think Brett's looking to just spike through this second chance in the next turn with a No Mercy or something if he can see one.
Yeah, I think he needs to do it fast.
If you leave it too long, then Chris is just going to get a lot more incremental advantage on Brett.
So Chris desperately looking for an ammo belt there. I don't think he missed the ammo belt, unfortunately. But still not the end of the world. I mean, he got his Battlefield, has the potential to, if second chance is triggered, he can claim, put it back on top, and then as well, and potentially get another one or another set.
Although, is that 6 damage on Palp?
That is, I believe that is 6 damage on Palp with a 4-speed special.
That's right.
Yeah. So, that's rough. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage.
That's 10 damage if it's resolved.
Yeah, look, and Chris
doesn't seem to have an answer.
Has nothing. Has not. Although, did he not have a Lost Cat?
He does have a Lost Cat.
I'm actually not sure whether... Does Lost Cat require you to have a dice in the pool?
It does, they have to be able to fulfill both halves.
So it is a requirement. Yeah, it is a requirement. Okay. Yeah, so it's the bad version of he doesn't like you. So Brett cannot resolve that quickly enough. Yeah. Wow, that's a big swing.
Yeah, so Han's sitting there on 7, so he can pop the second chance.
Yeah,
and then has to take 2 damage somewhere, which either kills Ray or goes back on Han.
Deciding where to put the damage.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Did Chris put the damage on Ray before the dice were resolved? Because it is important.
Yeah.
It is important here that the die is resolved individually. It is a die per die. So where Chris puts the 2 damage should be information to Brett before he resolves the second die, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they've just gone back and figured that out themselves. Yeah, there we go. So Ray is now dead.
Yeah, so it is important where the damage goes, because it is, even though you're resolving them both in one action, you are resolving 2 individual dice, and each one triggers individually. So there's a
Rejuvenate taking a damage off of the palp.
Is that that is a neutral card?
Yeah, it's neutral.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Totally canon.
Yeah, cool.
You always see the palp players going with the Enrage Rejuvenate.
Yeah.
Just to get that free resource.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Brett in a really strong spot here. Can definitely just sort of ride the.
Well, yeah, Chris has done a damage to him in this game.
Yeah, he's not in a bad spot, is he? He can. Oh wow, Chris is just in. This is just a rough game for Chris. I mean, granted, it was pretty big roll there, like the rolling up the 6 and Chris having absolutely nothing to deal with it.
For sure,
definitely big. Chris still going to play on anyway, obviously. So it is a league, and we are playing for prizes and such, but it's also a lot of fun. So like, there's no reason to not play out a game.
Yeah,
even though you feel that you might not be in the best spot. But that said, Chris is, the Han deck can keep kicking for a long damn time. I mean, with access
still
now,
a second chance. I think Brett is doing a good job of, he's one character, so he's claiming first and getting that Starship Graveyard.
Yeah. Look, that is a big advantage, I guess, of the Palpatine deck, is being able to claim quite aggressively.
Look at this. Brett doesn't even need his Force Illusion. He's overriding it.
Yeah. Look, I mean, at this point, he's not too stressed. I mean, Force Throw is deceptively controlling. I mean, yeah, it's a damage card, and yes, it does do damage, but it's in my opinion, one of the strongest cards.
Yeah, for sure.
Control-based cards.
And if you're Brett, your first action is always roll in power.
Oh, 100%.
So the dice is always going to be there.
Yeah, exactly. You hit a Force Throw special, it makes the entire turn for your opponent becomes much harder. Their first action is either deal with that Force Throw or risk rolling into it and having a die removed and damage dealt to their character. In this case against Han, I mean, you're rolling 2 Han dice which both have, it's a 1 in 3 of hitting 3 damage on your own character, which is pretty big. So Chris just going for so Brett's claimed out here. Chris re-rolling, trying to get something going here. Some damage would be nice. Settles for the resource that he hits. So he's going to go into the next turn with 6 resources.
So he's hoping to top deck another second chance, I suppose.
Ammo belt would be
ammo
best.
Belt, yeah.
Ammo belt would be best here. Playing a Falcon is definitely possible. Apparently, we just have word that Chris's deck is actually currently running a Falcon.
All right, there's an ammo belt and a 1 with the Force.
And a 1 with the Force. Can't play both. I mean,
is 1 with the Force blue character only? I think it must be.
So 1 with the Force. Oh yeah, of course you can't play. It is blue character only, of course. So that will be getting discarded at some point to reroll. The ammo belt's going to come down quick smart. Brett's rolled in, hit bunch of stuff. Looks like a discard a resource. Sorry, discard 2 a resource, a disrupt, a Force speed, and a blank. Chris playing.
It's improvisation.
Improvisation, yeah,
which is remove blanks to reroll.
It also comes in with ambush.
Yes.
So quite strong in the EHan with the elite Han, obviously. Gains a resource, gets the action. So Chris definitely, playing his lines out. Gets the ammo belt out real fast there.
Like giving Han another shield and another life.
Yep.
Is a perfectly fine play, I reckon.
So it looks
Chris just has to weather this and then try and take out Brett.
So Brett just making use there of the, as you discussed, as mentioned earlier, the use of the force speed
to resolve the 2 different die.
Will trigger the second chance.
The ammo belt.
Yeah, of course. Which will instead be
Yes.
an ammo belt removed.
So Han's back on 5.
Han's back on 5. Hasn't rolled in yet. Chris just about to roll in now. See what we get.
Yeah, it's tough because when you're playing a Hano deck, you want to do this, get some value out of your turn, and then claim, and then stay alive.
Yep.
To keep doing that tiny bit of chip damage.
Yeah. So
against Brett, it's very hard to do that.
Chris not getting a lot of action here.
Yeah.
It's 2 double resource and a focus.
There's the special
Brett
force throw
re-rolls
as well.
into the force throw. Chris doesn't. I don't believe he has anything in hand to even deal with that. So re-rolling here is at great risk.
I am seeing a negotiate there at the front, which he can use to remove both of Brett's die.
That feels pretty bad.
It does, doesn't it?
That feels. Oh, he's got. Looks like he's going to gain the resource. Just the 1. And Brett just not even worried about it. Just going to force throws the focus, and Chris
is claiming.
Claims there. Just wants to get the ammo belt back on. Realizes his method to victory here is going to be the long game.
That's it. I feel like if I were Brett, I would sort of try and grab that claim over the 1 damage. But
maybe. But it's interesting because Chris chose to resolve 1. I think I like the play there by Chris. I mean, he chooses to resolve 1 resource of the 2 that he could have taken, leaving up the potential to focus into 3 damage. So, I mean, if Brett claims, he takes 3. If Brett passes, he loses the ability to claim.
Yeah.
So, I think I like the play there from Chris. Definitely puts the onus on Brett to make the decision, and then Chris is able to make the best decision after that.
Yes.
So yeah, I like that play. It was good.
Chris has been playing this deck for a long time.
Yeah.
Definitely shows.
Definitely showing the knowledge.
Players.
So there's a not a great roll. So that is a disrupt, a special on the holocron, and a resource on help. I mean, look, claim a resource, deal 2 damage.
It's still 2 damage.
Yeah.
All right, Han's got the 3 for 1.
3
and 2 resources
there. Yeah. Got a second chance in hand.
Oh, another one.
He has the second chance in hand. You can't quite see his hand. Chris keeping his cards quite close to his chest there.
Looks like Brett's sitting on the rise again, and the resources to cast it as well.
Yeah, it's got the rise again with the resources. But I mean,
and a force illusion, I think.
So there's So in Chris's hand, we've got the negotiate, we've got the second chance, we've got a deflect, very strong in the matchup.
Riposte, actually, I believe.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, there's a riposte, of course. Looks very similar.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, here's negotiating to make Brett remove 2 of his die.
Yep. So
choosing the blanks force speed, rather.
Yep.
What do you remove as your next one? Probably the holocron, I reckon.
I mean,
get rid of the throw.
He wants to use the holocron to get the lure of power and play and keep the resources up, but like, I don't know if he even needs to. Like,
no.
Oh, and he had a force push. Okay, cool. I missed that. I missed the force push in his hand. No, that seems good. Force push here is very good. Being able to sit on a high surplus of resources throughout the whole future turns means eventually when he does need to fire off that rise again, he can.
And we can see Brett's roll the 2 damage there, which can pop one of Han's ammo belts.
Yes, that will pop. That will pop the ammo belt again.
Yeah.
I think Chris here choosing to do the damage, except the fact that the ammo belt's going to be popped, and then probably claiming immediately after it is, with the intention of just playing it again.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be a long game, Marcus. We've got 2 second chances in a belt, as opposed to a rise again on that side as well. Here we go.
This is going the long distance.
Yeah.
So Brett just choosing to instantly cast the rise again there.
Getting 4 health instead of 5, but he wants to get an upgrade out, I think.
Gains the health, and not playing an upgrade. I feel
he must be.
There's nothing to play. He has a force illusion. The only thing you got to play there would be the force illusion from the bin. I feel that he might have done that a bit premature there. I don't think he needed to.
Yeah, I'd agree. I agree.
Chris has a lot more. Essentially, I feel that now Chris has more time in this turn than he should have had.
Yeah, you do the rise again after he claims.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because Brett's resolving that damage. Chris has clearly shown that he can't do anything about it. So immediately firing off the rise again, a little unnecessary. But however, it does not a big deal. It's very minor. But I think regardless of whether or not you play it this turn, I feel you don't even play it at all. I think you hold on to it for a long time. You wait until Palp takes 8, 9, 10 damage and then fire off the rise again.
It's good to have the resources showing too.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's a very typical thing in any card game is you want to starve your opponent of as much information as is possible. So whenever you can, you want more cards in hand, more resources, more potential to do things than you want to represent that you can do more than you can at all times. Yeah. Of note, obviously, Chris Hahn does have Crush.
That's true.
So maybe Brett feeling a little bit under pressure there to get it off quickly. But
Brett will still gain 2 resources next turn.
Yeah, he's still going to get the resources.
Yeah.
He's not going to crush him that quickly. Chris doesn't have the option that the Han-Ray deck normally has of play an ambush weapon or play an ambush card on Ray, roll in, immediately crush. So I feel that waiting there is perfectly fine. That said, Brett's back to 17 health.
Yeah. It's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, man, this is grindy, but it is gone. There is no way to get back the rise again. Unlike Chris's deck, who can continuously every turn bring back the ammo belt or a second chance. The issue being eventually you are going to run out of cards, and Palp does have 2 discard 2 on 2 obviously across 2 dice.
Yeah.
So there is the potential that you lose 4 cards. Which is a quick way to end a game once your opponent is playing without a deck.
Can you outdamage the belt second chance? Potentially second one as Palp?
Yeah, I don't believe so. I think the way to...
That looks like 4 discard on Brett's side anyway.
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to winning via the attrition round.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel that Han... what it's going to come down to, it's probably going to be Han racing against his own deck to get through all of the Emperor's health, which can be done. Probably not with rolls like that, but
well, that's why Chris has ridden the blaster into play this turn.
Oh yeah, definitely. He needs to get guns in play. Yes. He wants a second heavy blaster at some point. He wants large amounts of damage. So Brett choosing to fire off one of the discard 2s, and looks like he's going to fire both. He's going to resolve both. But done correctly, obviously, 1 die at a time. The information...
It's going to go to Han.
Relevant. Yeah, of course. No, it's more also seeing what cards they discard.
Exactly, yeah, that's true.
It's information. Yeah. I mean, you're not pressured. Like, it's correct play, but at the same time, you want, at all times during any game, you want to be able to take in all of the information available to you.
That's true. So Chris has removed his blank on the blaster to reroll with improvisation, which is a good way to keep cards around.
Yes, it is.
Like you said, it's Chris racing as his own deck. Having improvisation is the solution to that.
Very strong.
It's quite a unique card. You don't see it around too much, but it definitely has a strong purpose in the Han-Ray deck.
It's a very valid deck. I definitely it was a point of discussion when we first started looking at spoilers for Spirit of Rebellion. My initial response was, wow, they're just making Han better.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't think of another deck that really wants it.
Yeah.
But having ambush I think gives it a very strong home.
At the least, it's a shield.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a shield and something you want to be doing anyway.
Yeah. And the Han-Ray deck, especially when you have Ray alive, has a lot of dice.
Yes, of course.
So keeping the rerolls going,
you can end up with quite easily 4 dice.
Yeah,
you very rarely have a full 5 dice on Han because usually you have at least a second chance in play.
Yeah.
But usually it's 4 dice, and then you can potentially get up to 4 dice on Ray, or 3 dice somewhere around there. So you're usually rolling quite a lot of die.
Yeah, that's right.
Quite a lot of different dice. So looks like Chris claimed. I believe he put the ammo belt back on top.
Yeah.
I was a second, so apparently no, he put the second chance on top, not the ammo belt. So wanting to get 2 second chances bouncing back and forth rather than the ammo belt.
He does have 1 belt and 1 chance in hand at the moment.
Yeah, so I guess if he had the belts already, be interesting. Maybe it's hard to know. I don't think it makes a big difference whether or not you've got the belt or the second chance. The only difference being obviously the resource cost.
Yeah.
So, so our producer just pointed out there actually that basically he needed to protect his second chance. Potentially, if second chance was popped after Chris claimed, both would have been in the bin, which meant he had a whole turn without one. So actually picking the second chance there was the safest play because it means that if this turn second chance is popped, Chris can play another second chance.
Yeah, that's right.
He's not playing a turn without it. So
it's easy to think of an Annable as a one-cost second chance.
Yeah, but it's not always.
It does have a requirement.
It does have a requirement. You need the second chance. Yeah, of course.
Brett just rolling stacks of damage here.
Oh man, so that
and
looks
the
like
fourth throw special.
That's a 3 and a 2, I think.
Yeah.
And a 2 on the force push
That's
and
right.
a force throw. Wow, that is a huge roll. So Chris doing the only thing he really can do, which is unpredictable to force throw, which gains him a shield and allows him to take a little bit longer in this turn to decide what he wants to do with his dice. He's not pressured by the force throw in play.
And just pushing through some damage onto Palpatine.
Yeah, at some point you have to, right? Like you're not winning. You're not winning the long race. So Brett just looks like he's just going to pop a crap load of damage here. So
I think Brett can just kill
4 damage coming out from there. Another 4 damage.
I think Brett just
and then
wins
2
right
damage.
now, doesn't he?
No, we'll leave him on 2. It'll leave him on 7.
Oh, really?
I believe so. He goes to
5.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
No,
that's Han gone.
The next, didn't account for the second.
Chris trying to get the damage in.
The next,
where it might have been safer to have another second chance on there.
Yeah, so that was impressive. Like, the deck works. I was worried that it maybe would run, would just be weak to die removal, weak to pressure, weak to many things that the game has. But
I'm surprised how well it went against EHan's long game plan.
Yeah,
I feel like EHan is the most survivable deck, and it was still able to push through enough damage.
It did manage to get a pretty good start there by killing the Rey. So just new angle for the viewers there. We've got a bit of an overview of the destiny going on in store at the moment. Looks like everyone's getting down. Got a little bit of magic going on the left. But so I mean, look, you're not always going to get that start. You're not always going to get that amazingly fast
That's right.
roll in and deal.
And I feel like that early game came down to how much Chris could mitigate Brett's dice. I feel like I might have been mulliganing pretty aggressively to get some removal in there.
ERey doesn't have that much mitigation.
Yeah.
It has some.
You're looking at electroshock, negotiate.
It's got the choice. It's got the choice mitigation available to hero.
Yeah.
That said, that's not much.
That's right.
It plays the best that it has access to, and realistically, the deck's changed a little bit. I think since Spirit's been released, it's changed more into a little less control and more of a rock style.
Yeah, I'm just going to weather your damage and
you
keep
down.
going.
I don't really care if you have good dice in the pool because they're going to do damage, and then I'm going to heal, and they're going to do damage, and I'm going to heal.
I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be doing damage.
Exactly, and Han's die don't get worse as the game goes on. He still has 2-3 damage sides on 2 dice. And then the longer Rey lives, the more easy it becomes for the Han to stay alive and deal damage simultaneously.
I've been struggling a lot with ERey lately. I feel like I've just got to go for Han so that he can't stabilize the second chance.
I agree. I think,
but if I just go for that, Rey just keeps pumping out more tricks with blasters and vibrant arcs, getting more actions in.
Yeah, Rey does become a threat.
Yeah,
Rey definitely can become a threat. I mean, she can roll in with 3 upgrades. Like a one with the Force and things like that.
And like last season with Awakenings, going for Rey first was always a great choice. Mm-hmm. But now that Annabelle's out, you just can't let Han stabilize.
No, you really need to go after Han. And the game's sped up. The game is sped up significantly. I mean, even the long games are still much faster. The turns are much faster than in previous. So a game going long doesn't necessarily mean that the turns are going long. It just means there's more turns with less actions. The game's sped up so much now that I feel you don't really have a choice. You have to go after Han.
That's right.
So anyway, we're going into round. This is the second game of the match. Chris obviously in match play gets choice of battlefield, or it's assumed.
I wonder what he chose.
More to the point, it's assumed that he won the roll. So obviously choosing his own battlefield there. And definitely going to be hoping this time that Brett does not have such a such a strong start.
As you say that.
Oh, my God. So Chris had a good start. I mean, Chris had the improvisation and the infamous. Good early setup for the deck.
Yeah, it gives him a lot of longevity with those 2 supports.
Yeah.
Although Brett responding with his 2 range damage sides.
Yep. Shows
Chris unpredictable in 1.
Oh, yeah, unpredictable into a resource. So not terrible. A blank would have been nicer. So Brett doing what worked last time. Looks like it's going to be 2 damage to Ray, and then I imagine Chris is going to absorb it with the shields. Yep. Back on him. Still looking at another gain a resource, deal 2 damage. Seems incredible.
Yeah.
Chris
recognizes this and takes out the die.
Chris seeing it gives Brett the opportunity to remove a die. Brett obviously doing the obvious choice of removing the only die with the picture. And Chris now going to roll in. Interesting, he actually, of course, we missed that. He gave Lost Cat and Mouse
ambush with infamous.
Yep. So it gains the shield and the action. So there's a hidden in shadows.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's very strong.
So hidden in shadows is just you can exhaust it for a race. For a shield.
Gain a shield. Yep. So if you don't have a shield, gain a shield.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically,
but he can't do it at the moment with 2 shields.
No. But he will be able to.
Yes.
Essentially, it's a life a turn.
Yeah.
So essentially, what you're doing is you're preventing a damage every turn.
Yeah. That's huge when you only have 1 character.
Oh, it's very big. It's very big.
So we can see Chris just did 2 to Brett and he just gave the shield back.
Is there a... no, of course, there is no way to remove it. I'm thinking of Hunker Down.
Yes.
Which is removed with melee damage.
Hunker Down's advantage being you can activate it at any time.
Yeah, at any time you can always gain it, but once you take damage through the shield, you... once you take melee damage through the shields, you have to discard it. So Chris, not in a terrible spot. Good early start there. Would have liked to have probably seen a weapon or 2, but definitely getting the infamous out, getting the improvise out. Good start. Good start to the turn. Not terrible for Brett either.
So we can see Chris infamousing into an infamous.
Infamous into infamous into a...
Ascension gun. That's a cool tech card, and
it is quite cool. I'm actually not sure what battlefield is Brett playing. Be interesting to find out if we.
A good guess would be. Oh, there we go. Moisture Farm.
Was that Moisture?
Yes.
So it's Moisture Farm. Okay.
So the special is a resource side.
Yeah. So the special is just a resource.
That's great for Chris if he doesn't get his battlefield though. It's a bit of consistency.
Oh yeah, of course, it's really good.
Yeah.
What I was actually the main reason I was super curious there is because I've seen some elite emperors playing carbon freezing chamber, which makes the ascension gun incredibly powerful versus
freezing
deck.
Chamber against Emperor is just a huge blowout. It feels awful.
Yep. So there's the second Lost Cat and Mouse, removing the damage side. So Chris in a much more stable position. This game.
Yeah. He had the removal in his opening hand, which is what he didn't have last time. That's
just huge. Gains a shield, but he deals the damage. It's just strong. It's just strong. So rolls up. Looks like a resource +2 sticks. Yeah. It's a discard rather, not a resource. And a special. So it's essentially a resource on the Ascension gun. Interesting to know, the Ascension gun can't trigger his own battlefield. It must be the
battlefield that wasn't chosen.
The battlefield that's not chosen.
Yep.
So the one that was brought to the game but is not being played. At this point, it's just a resource, which is not the worst.
Which is fine. Yeah,
which is just fine. So Chris firing off the discard here. That's a good one to hit.
Yeah.
Hits the isolation. Makes his obviously the strength of this one of the main strengths of the deck being Han's very powerful dice. Brett plays the Force Push, paying full price. Very strong card. Very strong card. Not necessarily an auto include in every deck, in every blue deck, but definitely very strong in.
It's great in Emperor. It's got the 2 range sides, which often doesn't fit with the blue characters you're playing. However, EPalp is the one exception to that, isn't it?
Of course, and then the synergy with cards like Force Lightning.
Yes.
blanking it. Like if you resolve the specials, so let's say you hit 2 specials, you hit special force lightning, special force push. You force push to blank, and then you using the still resolving specials, you can then utilize the remove the blank part of the force lightning special.
Yeah, it's great. It feels really cool that they've got sort of upgrades that go with the Emperor more than with Vader or somebody else.
Synergies.
Yeah.
Brett looking at an incredibly strong grip there. He's got a Feel Your Anger, a Use the Force, an Isolation, a Deflect, and a Lure of Power. Wow.
He's got this turn controlled.
He's got control
here.
Chris, on the other hand, has a Negotiator, Falcon, a Heavy Blaster.
I was seeing 2 shield sides from Palp. That's got to feel bad.
I can't quite make out all the cards in Chris' hand. He's got an Unpredictable and then another card.
I think that was his second chance. He had... Oh, sorry, his first second chance.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, cool. So it uses the Negotiate there, just going to get rid of some dice. Very strong.
Great against Palpatine.
Just great limited number of dice in the pool, and just any dice you remove is going to feel good.
Yes.
So Brett choosing to remove one
of the shield sides and the special.
So leaving up Emperor's Die with 2 shields. Like here, it's 2 damage and gain 2 shields.
Yeah.
He's just going to fire it off for the sake of doing 2 damage. Maybe you don't.
I was going to say, do you keep it around and just control them so you...
Yeah, maybe you do. Maybe you do. And then because if they remove it, then it doesn't feel bad, does it? Because you've traded your die that didn't really have wasn't going to have a huge impact on the turn for a card that they don't have the next turn.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even though it's 1 shield, it's still a 3 damage swing. Gain a shield, do 2.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's still a perfectly fine die, and I'd feel bad if it were removed.
Yeah, definitely. Did Brett not gain the shield from it? Though he should have. He did resolve it, so he should have gained a shield, correct? Or has damage been dealt?
Doesn't look like damage has been dealt. Maybe it was removed by card effect and we missed that.
No, I don't know. Definitely think it was removed. Oh no, we missed it. Of course, Heavy Blaster's now in play. Yeah, so Brett with 1 die in the pool, and then Chris playing the Heavy Blaster pistol, which obviously forces your opponent to remove.
Choose one of your 1 die.
Remove a die, and when you have 1 die in the pool, it's not exactly a choice.
No.
So there's the discard hitting the Use the Force quite strong, quite a strong card, both offensively and defensively. Chris in a better spot here. Still struggling to get damage through. Still really struggling to get damage through here, but
this Palp build is very defensive. Not defensive. It's just got a lot of control.
You're playing blue villain.
Yeah.
There are a lot of blue villain die control cards.
That's very true.
Both used offensively and defensively. I mean, look. Granted, I think Chris hasn't hit any real power rolls yet. I mean, they're potentially on board. I mean, he could roll in literally 12 damage on board.
Chris has a really big board presence right now, which is what matters. He didn't get a chance to stabilize last game, and he really suffered for it.
Not under pressure yet to do anything with Han in terms of, he's not stuck in the situation where he has to be trying to keep Han alive with the second chance or an ammo belt. Able to sort of play the offensive games for a bit until it eventually will get to that situation. But for now, able to be as best he can on the offense versus this very controlling list of Brett. Yeah,
it's very true. So Chris is looking at facing down a 2 damage and a resource. He can potentially get the Holdout Blaster on Rey and then Destiny into a Negotiate to remove 2 of his dice.
Yep. So Brett playing Overconfidence is neutral, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, so playing, there we go. So seeing more of his control cards. I mean, he's looking. So he's got to use Feel Your Anger and a Force Throw and an Isolate and an Overconfidence and a Lure of Power in your hand at the moment. I mean, I expect to see the Force Throw be played. Interesting, actually. No, I'm mistaken. He just chose to roll in and didn't play the Force Throw, wanting to hold up the control cards and also get some pressure out there.
It looks like Chris let that 3 damage slide. Wasn't willing to spend his whole 2 actions to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Instead, just playing the holdout on Han and rolling in.
Yep. Fair enough. I think he's accepted the fact that the Rey's not destined to live for too long. Wants to get the most out of both the characters for as long as he can, while he can, and not spend too much time trying to do something.
Getting the 2 Infamouses down has given Chris a lot of defense against Palpatine's effects.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Getting the shields consistently enough to remove them every time resolves a die is huge.
Yeah, the 2 damage has consistently hit Han's shields.
Yeah.
So there's a Destiny, very strong card. So he's going to remove a number of dice equal to a value, and then play a card from hand.
The total value of those dice, and then they cut of that. So he's resolving negotiate to get rid of 2 dice.
Yep. So you basically...
With ambush, mind you, as well.
Yeah, so give an ambush thanks to the Infamous. In this case, not doing anything amazing, just playing another card from his hand, but in other extreme cases, I've seen that put a heavy blast into play, or even as far as putting a Falcon. In this case, the negotiate very timely. Brett had 2 dice, two dice left in the pool, and they both happen to be a Palpatine. Both happen to belong to Palpatine.
All right, so Lure of Power coming down on Brett's side. Lure is a great card in Palp.
Oh, very good.
Specifically Palp, just because you do want to resolve whatever you get.
Yeah. So making any symbol you hit bigger it does not feel bad. If all you're going to be doing is rolling in and resolving dice, having a modifier always seems fine.
Yeah. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Lure of Power's dice just says +1, +1, +2 with no symbols attached to that. And it can be used to increase anything.
Any symbol. Yeah. Any symbol. So it does not require... so whatever you're resolving, you may tack on that modifier. So Brett choosing to just claim, Chris, nothing left to do. It's impressive how little damage Chris has been able to push through here. Just not getting any damage through. It's surprising because, I mean, the Han Rey deck can do a large amount, and it's not like Brett isn't doing anything. I mean, Brett is presenting 5 damage, but aside from that, he's been controlling, but he's also doing damage. Usually, control when you're in a really heavily built control list, or you kind of fall into the trap of only ever playing control and never actually being offensive.
Yeah. It's hard to fall into that trap when every one of your dice does 2 damage.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
So it looks like Brett's looking at the 3 damage here to kill Rey. And the 2, in addition to that, on the Force throw.
Yep.
Force push, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so Chris overriding the holdout blaster, sorry, not the holdout blaster, sorry, the heavy pistol with ambush, gains a shield.
And 2 more actions because of Infamous.
And 2 actions.
First one is to roll in Han.
It's a shield.
So it looks like he's got Never Tell Me the Odds in there in his hand.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that played too often. Here we go.
Yeah, so going to fire off the Never Tell Me the Odds.
Which note also has ambush.
Does.
I think it has 1 native, and he's given it a second instance from Infamous.
Yeah, is that? Can you do that?
I believe you can.
You can stack ambushes. I wasn't.
You cannot.
Yeah, of course. I didn't believe so. I thought ambush is a boolean. It is. Okay. It either has ambush and you gain an action, or
what am I thinking of that you can
just ambush into Rey. So Rey's ability stacks. So the extra action you gain isn't from the ambush itself. So for context, when you play an ambush card. An equipment card onto Rey, you gain an action.
Yeah.
If that card you play also happens to have ambush, you gain Rey's action and the ambush action.
Yeah.
So you're actually netting the action due to Rey's ability, not due to the ambush itself.
Yeah.
So stacking. So yeah. So currently the only way in the game to bank more actions without using force speed is on Rey.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Rey goes down there. So Chris left with a pretty poor-looking board here. Man, this Palpatine is just destroying.
Yeah. Damage is on Palpatine now.
Granted, there's been more damage dealt to Palp in that last turn than Palp's had on him the entire game. But I mean, still, he's sitting on. So he's got 5 damage on him and 2 shields.
Look at Palp's upgrades, man. He's in such a good spot.
Palp is huge. Palp is a big boy right now. I mean, he still has 12 health. He still has an effective 12 health. I mean, it's strong. Interesting that. Am I seeing right? Either did Brett discard the holocron, or did he choose to hold on to it there? So interesting. Interesting that he chose to hold the holocron with the already fully upgraded Palpatine, but maybe wants to just maybe feeling that he might be running out of cards. So you know something to discard to reroll,
sure, that's very fair.
Or just not wanting to go through his deck too quickly. I mean, definitely in a very strong spot here. Not a huge amount to worry about. Chris forced to get something going.
He needs damage on board.
Yeah, has to play the holdout blaster as first act. Sorry, the 44 heavy blaster.
Heavy blaster. Yeah, he does have a second chance in hand, I believe, which you can play over the top of it.
Yeah, of course. But it always feels good playing against a Han that plays that when you don't have dice in the pool. You always feel like you're in quite a strong spot at that point.
Blowout, feel your anger from Brett as well.
Yeah.
Taking Han's damage side and his other die.
Yep, so removing both of the Han die, most threatening dice.
Yeah, that's right.
Threatening dice in the pool there. And yeah, Chris is in a bit of a hopeless spot here.
Yeah, he does have second chance ammo belt, but I believe we'll see that end game going to a similar way as last game.
Rerolls into the modified damage.
Side, yeah.
So Brett just dumping 5 dice on the table. Here we go. So now we see the power of the lure of power. I mean, either of those Palp dice now gets a +1. It's huge. I mean, cool. So he can gain 3 shields, deal 2 damage, or he can gain 2 resources, deal 2 damage.
That's it.
Neither of which bad, right?
I'd be pretty happy with any of my dice doing that.
So Chris being forced to do what he can, rerolls into 2 damage, I believe that is.
Yeah, it looks like 2 damage, which is going to be largely ignored by Palp's shields.
Palp just going to resolve, deal damage, gain a shield.
Palp's taken that. I'm mistaken. Sorry. Yep. So he's resolving the shields and doing 2 damage.
Yeah.
As you said.
And now the 3. Oh, sorry, it was 3 damage. So 3 damage being dealt, but that's just going to hit the shields. Palp's going to crush the resources. Yep, seems fine. Takes away any potential plays that may have been there. I mean, it was potential for Chris to play the robes. Gain a shield at the very least.
I'm not sure how much that does for him, but yeah.
Oh, I mean, like if
it does take away his plays.
Getting more dice in the pool.
Yeah.
Is what Chris wants to be doing. Right now, he's sort of forced to either be overlapping the overriding the heavy blaster with the heavy blaster, which it looks like he actually did to gain a shield. So he had a heavy blaster.
And it does remove a die as well, which is
and remove the die, which is super relevant.
Okay, so Chris is getting the second chance he pitched earlier.
Chooses to put the second chance back on top. His immediate impulse was to pick up the heavy blaster there, but realizing that he needs to stay alive.
Yeah.
So going to grab the second chance. Because
Palp can just roll in and kill him. 8 damage is
very easily.
Yeah, 2 range sides, and then especially with the Force Lightning coming down right now.
The Force Lightning, the Force Throw.
Yeah.
I mean, like Brett rolls in, and if there's the options that Han has versus that amount of that power level of upgrades is just very minimal.
Yeah, Brett is showing a huge amount of potential damage here, and like you said, Chris is more like a rock. He's got to weather it. He doesn't have the spot removal for it, so he does have to be thinking about this now. Okay, I need to get my second chance online. I need to get my belt.
So Brett, so it does look like Brett is just not discarding cards at the end of the turn.
Okay, yeah.
He's just choosing to keep everything he has and just.
He knows where this game is going and he wants to stay. He knows he's in a good position and doesn't want to jeopardize that to be a bit greedy.
Maybe you want to. I don't know. I feel maybe you want to discard at least a couple cards that are essentially dead in your hand to try and maybe hit 1 or 2 more die removal spells. But
he may discard them to reroll. I think we've seen a lot of removal that Chris has already to negotiate. So
there's a cool card. So that's overconfidence, which is so you force opponent to reroll 2 dice, and then you remove the lowest value of the 2.
Yeah.
Or you get a choice if they are of equal value.
So Chris rolling into 2 1 resources, Brett choosing one resource.
The 1 resource. Yep. Quite strong.
Chris just rolling for damage here.
Yep.
I suspect that blast is going to be overridden by a second chance end of turn. So wants to get value out of it now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, look.
Or he could just take the resource and hardcast the second chance.
I think he might want to. Depending on
what Brett rolls
here, I think he might want to. Looks like he's actually hit not a huge amount of... So re-rolling a die that went off the table there. So he hits a resource, 2 shields, 2 guns, a blank, and a force push. I think Chris actually just wants to gain the resource here and hardcast.
Yeah.
And hardcast the second chance. It looks like that's what he's... No, just resolving the damage. Just resolving the damage. I see that. Yep. That's how you win.
Damage is good.
That's how you win. So, yeah, doing it before Brett has the opportunity to gain shields.
Yeah,
very strong. Because the shields don't matter if you can get under it. You know what I mean? Which you'd rather be dealing real damage than just taking shields off every turn.
That's it. They'll matter next turn.
Yeah.
But getting damage on the character.
So Chris going to... Looks like he might just be straight up overriding here. Yeah, he's just going to straight up override.
Well, this means that he can play the ammo belt this turn as well, in case Brett is able to roll into
I think,
a bunch more damage.
Yeah. I can see both lines.
Or he can just cast a second chance.
Also gives him he actually has the holdout blast to play, which enables him to gain a shield. So definitely a few different lines there. I mean, personally, I think I gain the resource. My opponent's still playing that turn. My opponent's still going to play for a while. Though you are at risk. There is a bit of a risk there. I mean, you've got 2 damage showing on the force lightning. So there's 4 damage in play. And so, yeah,
Well, he can't kill him right now, and his next action is going to be the ammo belt. But if it does pop the second chance, then that's useless for now.
I think in the long run, you might be just better off gaining the resource and playing it.
Yeah.
Because it means you don't get to play the holdout blaster this turn, but you go into the next turn with a heavy blaster in play and a second chance in play, and then the potential to play the holdout blaster next turn.
Yeah.
A little bit more aggressive overall, but
that's what he needs to be at this point in the game.
So.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it is a bit of a muchness. I mean, he's going to very likely put the heavy blaster back into his hand, and then eventually when something... Yeah, there we go. So he's claiming. Eventually, when something gets procced, he'll play the heavy blaster. He might even overlap the... he might even just put it over the top of the holdout blaster.
Okay.
For the cost of 1 resource. But it gains him a shield, removes a die. So he's got options here.
That's true. And he does have a second copy of Second Chance in hand. He's in a position where he can play the blast over the top of that, roll and do damage, and at the end of the turn, put the second chance on top again.
I mean, look, so... Palpatine has been very strong and demonstrated that he is obviously very strong, but likewise, I mean, this matchup started, like this half of the game begun with a Han with a Jedi robe versus a Palpatine with
everything.
And we can see here that Han is still putting up a solid fight.
Testament to how survivable Han Rey is, especially when you do have your own battlefield.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
It's just a slog.
It's a slog. Looks like... So he's hit a blank and a 3 damage, so I can't see the die off the table there. Looks like he's hit
2 damage and 3... Oh, is it 2 of the 3s? Yeah, it looks like 2 of the 3s.
I think it's 2 of the 3s. Yep. I think it's 2 of the 3s. Fuel your anger is going to remove probably the one without a resource cost.
I think they both do.
No, I guess no. So he chose to remove the one with the resource cost, which implies... I'm fairly certain that makes that a 2 damage.
They're both the same side, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Palp going up to 9 damage here. It's getting close. I feel like Chris is going to be on top of the...
Yeah, of course they both had a resource cost.
Chris is going to be on top of the rise again this game. If he can roll into the disrupt, he's going to be resolving it.
He has an electroshock in hand, which I think he's has to fire.
You have to use it, man. Yeah,
he just has to fire off on that on the shields. Yeah, you want to kill Palp, taking away his that's a 4 life point swing. Yeah. I mean, the 2 shields and the 2 damage. I think that's just you're obligated to make that play. It feels a lot better too when you're able to give it an ambush.
Yes, for sure. It's a shield. It's some damage gone. It's some.
So Brett, I mean, hitting the damage again on the Force Lightning. It's the 4 damage this time on the Force Lightning. The brutal, 2 damage on the Force Push.
Yeah,
but
he can pop the second chance.
I mean, the one thing that Chris can take away from this is the force throw does. I was about to say the force throw does nothing, but no, the force throw definitely does something. So he's just going to deal the damage. Interesting. Okay, just choosing to do all the damage.
All right, so he knocks out the second chance.
Yeah, I suppose he's not obligated to. He's not obligated to do anything here.
Oh, wow. Here we go. He's using the force.
Yeah, Chris had nothing. Chris had nothing.
Turns Palp into 3 damage plus 2, which kills Han.
Yeah, that was
the second time
that was a very abrupt ending to. Yeah, look, you're talking about such huge, powerful dice that Brett's rolling in there. I mean, it looked like maybe Han was going to be able to pull through that.
It was a great game, very close.
Close. Well, game 2 was definitely a lot closer than game 1, but Han definitely demonstrating that he can put up a fight. But EPalp showing that those dice, when you're rolling,
EPalp would have done 30, almost 40 damage that game.
Huge amount of damage.
The second chances.
Huge amount of damage. Showing a lot of potential.
Amazing to see how much that it can do.
Yeah, definitely showing a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this players just discussing the outcome of their league game there. Anyways,
Chris shaking his head, taking it in stride.
So, anyways, we'll have more content coming at you guys. So make sure to subscribe on Facebook and follow us on all that stuff. And I'm sorry, subscribe on YouTube even.
Facebook's fine too. It's good to see what we're up to here in the store.
Anyways, come on down if you want to play some Destiny. Anyways, thanks guys.
Thanks for watching, guys.